Tuesday, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here with you. Welcome aboard. You've found your way to fire your MD now. I hope you're all taking that literally because I am as serious as a heart attack. Came back from the post office this afternoon, took a drive over to the post office, had to get some stuff done. I'm driving back from the post office. It's like 95 degrees here, right? Crazy hot here in Chicago, 95 degrees. And about 15 high school kids, all boys, are running. They're jogging, right? They're jogging all around. There's a little track right by the post office. They're jogging all around. It's 95 degrees. And all I can think to myself is they are running themselves into oblivion, and they have no idea that they're doing it. What do I mean? I mean, let's talk about Michael Clark Duncan, right? One of my favorite movie stars of all times. He was in a million movies. He's the guy in the Green Mile, right? Just died of a heart attack. 54 years old, I think, same age as myself. Actually, he was 1 year and 1 day older than I am, so that means he was going to be 55 years of age this year, something like that. In any event, he's dead. Died of a heart attack. Now, his medical doctors are going to tell you, oh, it's that mysterious black gene. He had the bad gene. That's why he died. Baloney. In the 1930s, before World War II, in Germany, of all places, the prescription medicine capital of the phenomenal universe, there was a condition which was referred to as athlete's heart. Athlete's heart was an enlarged heart, and it was noticeable amongst people who exercised for a living. Now, keep in mind, this was in the 1930s, and this was in Germany. Nobody was on. There were no gyms. There were no, workout places. The only people that exercised all the time were athletes paid for to do that by the state. And they noticed in that controlled population that the lion's share of the athletes developed an enlarged heart, to such a great extent that they termed it athlete's heart. Well, a few years later, they figured out that it was caused by a deficiency in the mineral selenium. Selenium, a mineral like calcium, is found in the soil. Sometimes it's found in the water. If it's in the water, it's there because it washed out of the soil. The only person that can make selenium or calcium or magnesium or iron or any of the other 60 minerals that the human body needs to stay healthy is God, right? So the problem with minerals is they're either in the soil or they're not in the soil. Well, minerals are not evenly deposited, evenly spread out in the soil in the world, and so you can be growing the best you can be eating the best organic carrot or the best organic spinach or the best organic Brazil nut in the world. If the tree or the plant that stuff was growing in was deficient in selenium, there's not going to be any selenium in it. It's as simple as that. So when you become selenium deficient and you put extracurricular stress on your heart enlarges. And this is just one of the nutrient deficiency diseases of the heart. Congestive heart failure, it's a vitamin B1 or thiamine deficiency, clogged arteries in the heart. That's caused by the consistent consumption of foods which are high in free radicals, things like fried food, olive oil, well-done red meat, wheat, barley, rye, and oats. Nitrates injected into meat as preservatives, the skins of baked potatoes, yams, and sweet potatoes, oil in a bottle, salad dressing, right? All of these foods, stuff that we eat all of the time, is loaded with pro-inflammatory, inflammation-making biochemicals. So you slug down that the salad with the olive oil on it. You have a couple of pieces of fried chicken. You have some French fries. You have a nice steak cooked well done with a nice charred grill marks on the top of it. You eat a nice crispy baked yam skin. You're going to die. But before you die, you're going to suffer from inflammation, and then you're going to die. And in Michael Clark Duncan's case, of course, apparently he died suddenly from a heart attack. So the moral to the story is you don't know what you don't know. And when it comes to your health, the stuff that you don't know will heal you or kill you. This is another remarkable failure of the MDs. And I want you to think about what you thought when you first heard this story? When you heard that this, very famous actor, the guy that was in The Green Mile, right? He was also in Armageddon. He was in the Mission Impossible movies with Tom Cruise, right? When you heard that he had died, what was the first thing that went through your head? Died, from a medical condition. The first thing that went through your head was, he was probably, he probably was lazy. He probably didn't exercise enough, or it was probably genetic, or, that's just life. Well, no. The reason that he's dead is because he had an unbelievably, pathetically incompetent healthcare practitioner. His doctor was an idiot. His doctor was incompetent. If Michael Clark Duncan had been my patient, he'd still be alive. If Michael Jackson had been my patient, he would still be alive. Because heart conditions, unless you have a bullet in your heart, right, are caused by nutrient deficiencies, which are then exaggerated by consistent consumption of all of the wrong food all of the time. When these people die, how many people is it going to take? How many of our favorite celebrities are going to have to kick the bucket before we wake up and smell the coffee? Dick Clark, Andy Rooney, Steve Jobs. Well, he wasn't a celebrity, but he's pretty high up there on my list. The creator of Apple computers, for goodness sake. And now Michael Clark Duncan. Who's going to be next? And when they kick the bucket, that should make you redouble, re-triple, and quadruple your efforts to clean your diet up. Make sure you take your nutritional supplements every day and spread the word to your family and friends, because, this is what it's come down to. If you're listening to this broadcast right now, you, as it turns out, are the last best hope that your family and friends and church members and community members have to recover their health. Why? Because you're listening to this radio show. You have access to Dr. Glidden. Dr. Glidden has access to Dr. Wallach. Dr. Wallach is the founder of the Longevity Company, and the Longevity Company was founded for one reason and one reason only: to change the way that medicine is practiced in the United States and to end human suffering when it comes to health conditions. If you think that a prescription medicine is going to save your life, well, it may if you're bleeding to death. It may if you're T-boned at the intersection in a car accident by a drunk driver, heaven forbid. It may if you have a pregnancy that's gone south. But for all of the conditions that all of us go to the doctor for, all chronic health conditions, pharmaceutical medicines can't help. They don't help. The only reason that MDs are still in the driver's seat, the only reason that MD-directed, incompetent, pathetic, poor outcomes, the only reason that these guys are still not in the number one position is because they legislated themselves there. They are there because of drug money and legislative activity that's steamrolled, into a gigantic runaway juggernaut over the last 100 years. Medical doctors are the top dog because they have legislated themselves there. They own the market. No different than when Germany invaded all the nations in Europe. They tried to overpower and control the political market with force. Well, the MDs are not that dissimilar from people who are trying to monopolize and control any type of a situation. Now, that's what they've done with the medical market in the United States. And, I wrote about this in my book, The MD Emperor Has No Clothes. If by some genie in the bottle magic, tomorrow we were all to wake up, and by some magical potion, right, there was equal access to all types of medicine in the United States. You'd go to your hospital, and in your hospital there'd be naturopathic doctors, there'd be chiropractors, there'd be acupuncturists, there'd be Ayurvedic practitioners, there would be licensed herbalists, there would be MDs, right? And you had equal access to all of them. Your insurance money paid equally for all of it, right? And you got to choose which person you wanted to work with, which medical profession you wanted to give your life to. You got to make that choice, not the doctor. And if by some genie in the bottle magic we were all to wake up tomorrow, and in addition to having equal access to all the different types of medicine that are available, if also all of the research money was equally divvied up amongst all medical professions, 20% goes to the naturopaths, 20% goes to the chiropractors, 20% goes to the homeopaths, 20% goes to the MDs, and 20% goes to, somebody else, the Ayurvedic practitioners or whatever. If that were to happen, if all of a sudden there was a fair and free medical market in the United States, within 3 years, if not sooner, the MDs would be out of a job, and they know it. You'd be driving down, you'd be driving to work, and there on the corner, you'd see a couple of guys in white coats with stethoscopes around their neck. They'd be holding up signs that say, will do tonsillectomy for food, out of work, will do appendectomy for $50, right? They'd be out of work, and they know it. And that is why they are holding tightly onto the reins of their power-mongering control base. The only reason that the MDs are in charge of medicine in the United States is because of pharmaceutical money, coalitions which were built at the turn of the century between the Rockefellers, the Carnegies, and the hospitals and the medical schools around this country, all of which practice MD-directed allopathic medicine, and we've forgotten about these completely. The average schmo on the street incorrectly thinks that the MDs are in the driver's seat because their therapeutics must be better. They must be safer. They must be more scientific. They must be more thorough. They must be more something. But that's just a fallacy. It is, an assumption which is based on misinformation and mostly propped up by cultural myths, just like the flat earth concept. Everybody believed that the earth was flat because everybody believed it. Everybody believed that slavery was okay because everybody believed it. Everybody believes that the MDs are the undisputed kings of medicine because everybody believes it. And not only are they not the king, but as it turns out, they're the leading cause of death in the United States, which is why Dr. Glidden encourages you to fire your MD. Fire your MD now. So I misspoke a minute ago. Michael Clark Duncan wasn't in Mission Impossible. He was in Planet of the Apes, the whole 9 yards, the Green Mile, Armageddon, right? And as it turns out, he was a vegetarian. Now, I thought leading a vegetarian lifestyle was supposed to be healthy. I thought it was supposed to give you a healthy heart, right? Well, it doesn't. And this is one of the biggest misconceptions that we have in this country, because we're listening to people who have absolutely no training, no real clinical training in medical nutrition, tell us what's good to eat and what's bad to eat. If you've seen Michael Clark Duncan, he was, gigantic. I mean, he made Arnold Schwarzenegger look small, right? I mean, this guy was ripped, this guy worked out, and he's a vegetarian, and he dies of a heart attack. Well, what gives? Well, most people will think, oh, it's got to be his genes, right? Oh, it must have been a bad gene. Nonsense. There's no gene that gives you a heart attack. That's nonsense. When I'm going to have a whole week on genetics before the end of the year. There's a lot of research that goes into that topic. I'm compiling it now. We are going to devote an entire week to myths around genetics. And it's gonna be one of the best segments I've ever done. So stay tuned for that. That's going to happen before the end of the year. Now, as it turns out, in the animal kingdom, here's a little piece of information that you're not going to hear from anybody else. And I learned this from Dr. Wallach. In the animal kingdom, it's only the vegetarians that get heart disease. The carnivores never get heart disease. The lions and the leopards and the hyenas and the wolves and the tigers and the bears, they never get clogged arteries. They never get congestive heart failure. Why? Because they're eating meat. They're eating blood. They're eating organ meats, kidneys and hearts. So the lion will eat the whole darn antelope, right, if you leave it alone. They'll eat the whole thing. And in all of the organs, in the blood and the meat that those animals are eating, those parts of the body are packed with vitamins that you just don't get in plants. You don't. And minerals that you just don't get in plants. And, of course, protein that you're not going to get a lot of in plants. You're going to get some, but, you really have to hunt a lot for protein, no pun intended, if you're a vegetarian. So here it is. Michael Clark Duncan, this giant of a man, biceps bigger than my head, for goodness sake, and a vegetarian, you would think that he would have to be one of the healthiest people on the planet, and yet he dies from a heart attack. Well, what's going on? Well, what's going on is that we don't have any conceptual understanding of what's healthy to eat and what's not healthy to eat. And when we listen to MDs and dietitians tell us what to eat, we're going to suffer and die, just like Michael Clark Duncan. I mean, put two and two together. Either he was, had some alien implant, right, that gave him a heart attack, right, or it was his lifestyle, and it was his lifestyle. When you just eat grains and vegetables and fruit, you are consistently prohibiting, well, no, you're not prohibiting, but you are creating deficiencies in your body because the stuff that you're eating doesn't have nearly enough of the nutritional value that you need. There are 90 essential nutrients that your body needs. 90 essential nutrients. Now, you're hard-pressed to get all 90 essential nutrients if you eat from the 4 food groups, but if you limit yourself to just 2, or 2.5 or 3, depending on which food groups you lean towards, you're going to make it even harder for your body to be completely nutrified. And so let this be a warning to you folks. If you're a vegetarian, now listen, you can be a healthy vegetarian. You can be. You can be a healthy carnivore. You can be a healthy macrobiotic. You can be a healthy lacto-ovo-novo from Provo if you want. But in order to be healthy, in addition to what you eat, you must pay attention to what you don't eat. You must avoid the 10 foods that we have categorized as bad for you, and you must supplement whatever it is you're eating with the 90 essential nutrients and a couple of other things. So 90 essential nutrients plus extra selenium plus avoidance of the 10 bad foods. If you do those things, you can be a healthy vegetarian, and you can press your body's genetic potential to live to be 120 years old. You can easily make the 100-year mark, and you're going to do it with health. And if you pay attention to us, you'll also do it with wealth. Ladies and gentlemen, change your diet, take your vitamins, take your minerals, take your essential fatty acids. Take the mighty 90, take the 90 for life, and seriously increase your chances of living a long and healthy life. Every time you see a celebrity die in the news from a health condition, and isn't that what most people die from? Let that be a warning to you to up the ante with your nutritional supplementation. It's enough about that. We're going to go right to the phones now for the rest of the show. Heather's up first. Heather, you are live with Dr. Glidden. Welcome aboard.
Hey, Dr. Glidden.
Hello, Heather. What's going on?
How are you? Good to talk to you again. Just recently had my baby, and I had some questions about the supplementation that we're doing.
Okay, good.
And also, I've had some similar questions from clients in regards to pregnancy, breastfeeding, and the supplements, particularly in regards, for me, to the OsteoFX.
Okay, shoot.
When you're nursing, is there any change in your supplementation that needs to happen, or anything in any of the products that could cause upset in the digestive system of the baby?
No, quite the contrary. The only thing that really causes trouble in that regard is the breast milk itself, and that becomes, believe it or not, right? But you never thought you'd hear a naturopath say that. And that's a problem if the mother is not gluten-free. Because if you're not gluten-free, you're going to be, and if you're eating all the 10 bad foods that we tell people to stay away from, every time you eat, you're going to be hammering your digestive tract, hammering your digestive tract. And one of the side effects of consistent consumption of gluten over time is the breakdown of the barrier in the intestinal tract between the inside of the body and the outside of the body. So you tend to have lots of antibodies to foods floating around in your blood, and your blood just isn't you've been hammering your digestive tract for decades, or for 10, 15, 20 years, right? And that all that stuff goes right through into the baby's blood through the breast milk.
Right.
Now, All right. So if you are gluten-free.
That I know. This is Dr. Heather, so I'm all about gluten-free. I talk to my clients about that.
Yeah,
I just was wondering about the product specifically because
the only product that's problematic for infants is the Killer Biotic.
Okay.
That's the only thing that needs to be avoided. And what we find success with is when mothers are breastfeeding and they're on board with our program, if they take more, then it's better, because you're really supplementing for two, right, when you're breastfeeding, right? And you can also give the infant, the newborn, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the Osteo FX, and the plant-derived minerals. There's no problem there at all. No problem there at all. Now, the only cautionary tale here would be that, in the Osteo FX Plus, not the Cal Toddy, but in the Osteo FX Plus, there's shellfish. So if the mother was allergic to shellfish, then she wouldn't be taking it anyway, but I wouldn't give a baby of a mother who was allergic to shellfish the OsteoFX Plus because there's a strong probability that the child also is going to be allergic to shellfish, especially if the mother's breastfeeding. But other than that, no, there's no problem. The sky's the limit. Up the ante, I would just increase it. And I'll tell you a story about that real quick. One of the oldest, longest distributors with longevity is a guy in Utah. His name is Todd Smith, and he has, I think, 8 girls, right? His family. It's him, his wife, and 8 girls. That's crazy. But they've all been doing the nutritional supplements since day one. I mean, you go to their house, and on their dining room table, instead of a bowl of M&Ms, they'll have a bowl of the essential fatty acid fish oil capsules. The kids grew up just popping those and chewing on them like they're candy, plus the full boat of the 90 essential nutrients. They're all, advanced in academics. They're, grades ahead of their peers. They're advanced in athletics, and they're at the top of the food chain in everything that they do. Why? Because they're maximizing their potential. So more nutrition with newborns and infants is always a better idea, and the only thing that really is problematic in this regard would be the Killer Biotic.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, anything else? Hey, how did the pregnancy go, by the way, and how'd you do, and bring me up to speed?
Pregnancy was very, very good. Delivery was tough because we had a big baby, but it is what it is, probably because of all the nutrition.
Well, that's it. I mean, that's it. That's exactly it. How big was the baby?
9 pounds and 10 ounces.
Yeah, there you go.
He gained like 3 pounds and 5 ounces in the last 7 weeks, and I was only like 3 months into taking the products, and they were like, "Oh my God, this baby's huge."
Yeah, the Incredible Hulk. I'm growing tomato plants this summer, or trying to anyway, and we've got 2. I did a little experiment. One pot with the tomatoes with minerals in the soil, and the other pot without. And I mean, the ones without the minerals are this little anemic little thing, and the ones with the minerals are like this gigantic tomato plant. It's exactly the same thing with kids, man. Mm-hmm. So really, keep up the good work, and thank you for your support. And you're really going to make a difference in your community now, because you have a voice that people respect. So really, we're expecting great things from you, and keep up the good work. Call us anytime.
Okay, thanks. Doc, can I ask you one quick question about infertility?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we got an email from Ashley outlining some infertility protocols that we found pretty interesting, but we wanted to get your take on that. We do have a family member that is dealing with infertility issues, and we're trying to help them. So, all
right, so is it the man or the woman that has the issues?
It's him.
It's the man.
It's him. Yeah, he had a reversal of a vasectomy, and so his body's still recovering the ability to make lots of swimmers. Yeah.
So whenever there's been a surgical intervention, that's a wild card, right? And so you never really know the body's ability to bounce back. Depends really what it depends on is how good the surgeon was. Because with a lot of times with vasectomies, unless they cauterize and tie it off, and they have to cut off a middle section so that it makes it doubly hard for the vas deferens there to reattach itself. unless the surgeon did kind of a haphazard job, it's a hard thing to recover from. Now, if they go in and surgically reunite it again, well, then you stand a good chance. But the problem there is the formation of scar tissue, right? So with men who have had a vasectomy, and then they had a surgical reversal of the vasectomy, the first, second, and third things we want to be focusing on is going out of our way to decrease inflammation in the body, right? Because more inflammation, it's going to attack the body where it's weakest. It's going to be weakest at the point of, the latest surgery, right? So the goal here would be, for this specific thing, one anti-aging Healthy Start Pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month. And we do the anti-aging Healthy Start Pack because it has the Cell Shield RTQ. And the Cell Shield RTQ, the ART and the T and the Q stand for resveratrol, turmeric, and quercetin. And one capsule has 8,000 antioxidant ORAC points, right? So that's pretty good. So the Cell Shield RTQ goes a long way towards helping the body to knock down inflammation. So that's why it's indicated here. One anti-aging Healthy Start Pack per 100 pounds of body weight. One bottle of Ultimate Selenium per 50 pounds of body weight per month. As much chocolate as the guy can afford, the triple treat chocolate, not the triple truffle, and don't ask me why they named those so similarly, but it's the triple treat chocolate that's loaded with antioxidant activity. So that's what I would do there. Now, there's an old-fashioned naturopathic trick, the sitz bath, right? Are you familiar with sitz baths?
Yes.
All right, so have this guy do a sitz bath, and what I would do is I would get two sitz baths side by side, and I would have one of them be warm to hot water. You don't want to burn, not scalding, but hot, like a hot bathtub. And the other one, water with ice in it. And he wants to go back and forth between the baths, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, starting with the hot and ending with the cold. And that's a really old-fashioned hydrotherapy technique. Of course, it's not rocket science. The intention of that therapy is just to pump blood and lymph in and out of the pelvic area in order to facilitate healing. Yeah, so that's a good idea. That's a good add-on. But really, the main kind of therapeutic impact here is doing everything we can to decrease inflammation in that part of the body. Another thing that he could do is get the CM cream, Charlie Michael CM cream, and apply it liberally to the area in and around where the incision was. And the CM cream will be absorbed right into where the surgery was, and it can also, that's what we use the CM cream for, is to knock down inflammation. CM stands for acetylmerylstolate, and it's an extract of fish oil, omega-3s, and it's very, very anti-inflammatory, but not in a caustic or addictive or harsh way, like prednisone is. So topical application of the CM cream, plus the anti-aging Healthy Start Pack, plus triple treat chocolate if it's in the budget, and a diet that's extremely high in antioxidants, plus the sitz baths. Keep your fingers crossed.
All right. Great, Doc. Thank you. We're hoping to have you out here this way maybe by January to do a talk for a bunch of professionals and some lay people.
Okay, yeah, that would be great. So you want to get in touch with Steve Schultz at Longevity in order to line that up. He's the fellow that's, you can also go online. Longevity has a place on the calendar where you can request myself or request Dr. Wallach, and we're filling January up, so you better get right on it, okay?
We got that. Thanks a lot for your help, always.
All right. Hey, keep up the good work, Heather. You're the greatest. Now, we got 2 minutes left. I think we can go to Jeff, if he's still with us. Jeff is calling with a question about Candida. Yeah, thanks, Jeff. How can I help?
Oh, hey, Dr. Glidden. I'm a longevity distributor, and I had a question from a potential client, and she asked how to treat systemic Candida with the longevity products.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure she has systemic Candida. I did a really good, if I do say so myself, I did a really good webinar on Candida. And are you a subscriber to the stuff on my website yet? I'm sorry?
No, not yet. I just got your book.
Oh, okay, great. Well, I'll give you the rundown. Candida is referred to as a garbage can diagnosis. And, you know, there's like 150 symptoms that somebody can have if they in fact do have Candida, but, you know, basically anybody going to any doctor's office anywhere in the world has potential that they've got Candida because there are so many symptoms related to a frank Candida infection. And quite frankly, you know, it's the rare individual who actually does suffer from a systemic Candida infection, and most of those people are HIV positive. However, Candida, when we're dealing with somebody who actually does have Candida, right, the first thing that we want to do is straighten out the blood sugar, because the Candida feeds on too much sugar that's in the blood. Now, sugar is the gasoline of the body, and there's nothing wrong with sugar. It's how well and efficiently your body is metabolizing sugar, number one, and number two, how much sugar you're eating. So for 30 days, the recommendation would be complete abstinence from anything that's sweet, 1 healthy blood sugar pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month, and 1 killer biotic, 1 killer biotic, bottle of killer biotic per 100 pounds of body weight per month. If you do those things, she stands a good chance of rallying and getting rid of the Candida. Jeff, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, very good. One more thing we can do, Jeff, when we're trying to, you know, deal with Candida specifically, here's a good way to think about it. Your intestinal tract, which is where, you know, Candida central headquarters is like a shoebox. And there's only so many things that can fit in the shoebox. In a normal, healthy person, the majority of the shoebox is filled with healthy bacteria. It's called, you know, probiotics, right? The healthy flora that our digestive tract uses to digest things. There's a little bit of yeast, a little bit of mold, a little bit of bacteria, bad bacteria in everybody's gut. But the sheer numbers of the good bacteria keep everybody happy and keep the bad critters kind of, you know, harmless. Now, when you take an antibiotic for an extended period of time, antibiotics kill bacteria. But antibiotics do not kill yeast or fungus. So what happens when somebody's on extended antibiotics, all of the bad bacteria, the little amount of bad bacteria that are in the gut will get killed. All of the good bacteria that are in the gut will get killed. So it's like emptying out, you know, 99% of the shoebox, and the only thing that's left is the yeast and the mold, the Candida. And so when you do that, the Candida is going to flourish if everything is just right. And this is one of the leading causes of chronic candidiasis. And then once the Candida gets a strong foothold in the gut, it can spill over into the rest of the body. But I'm not really sure. You know, I've been doing this for 24 years. I've never, ever seen anybody with a chronic systemic Candida infection. This is, I believe, a medical myth. I've actually seen 2 people with chronic systemic candidiasis, and they were both HIV positive, because your immune system is just knocked way down by the HIV virus, and then when it goes into full-blown AIDS, your immune system can hardly handle anything. And it's the normal stuff that our body fights off that people with acquired immune deficiency disease die from, things like Candida, right? So what the point that I'm trying to get to here is, while we're trying to kill the Candida with the killer biotic, and while we're trying to starve the Candida with a sugar-free diet and the healthy blood sugar pack, enabling the body to metabolize its sugars quicker so sugar doesn't stay in the bloodstream as long as it normally does. The third thing we do is we want to try to out-compete the Candida, and we do that with the Flora FX. So we put the good bacteria back in that shoebox. And so the Ultimate Flora FX, if you take 2 or 3 capsules, you know, I do 2 capsules of Ultimate Flora FX per 100 pounds of body weight. So it's 1 capsule of Ultimate Flora FX per 50 pounds of body weight per day. And the best time to take the Flora is immediately before bed. So it would be the Healthy Blood Sugar Pack, the Killer Biotic, and the Ultimate Flora FX plus a sugar-free diet. Does that make sense?
Yes, very good.
All right, Jeff. And, hey, consider going to fireyourmdnow.com and signing up for my subscription, because I have 27, 28, maybe even 30 now archived webinars that talk about a lot of different health topics, and Candida was one of them. I did a really good Candida webinar. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, once a month, we have free access for anybody. You don't have to be a subscription holder. Anybody in the world gets access to my Tuesday night Introduction to Longevity webinar, and it's tonight. Tonight's Introduction to Longevity webinar is free of charge. It's wide open to anybody who has a computer. Just go to fireyourmdnow.com. Right there on the front page, there's a button. It's at 8 o'clock Central Time. The webinar room opens a little before 8 o'clock. So log on to fireyourmdnow.com. Check it out. I hope to see you at the Introduction to Longevity webinar tonight. It's always a lot of fun. It's an international room. Last week we had people from South Korea, we had people from Australia, we had people from Hawaii, we had people from Canada, we had people from South America, El Salvador, right, and all across the United States. It's a lot of fun, and you're going to learn stuff too, so what could be better? That's tonight at 8 o'clock Central Time. Ladies and gentlemen, check it out at fireyourmdnow.com. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. Where does the time go? Don't be like your favorite movie stars, right? Take your nutritional supplements, clean up your diet, lean on longevity for health recovery information, and life is good. I'll see you tomorrow, same bat time, same bat station. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. Over and out.